If you just found me at this video, welcome. I am Daisy, your hostess, and to my family, friends, and subscribers, welcome back. In this video, we continue with the book titled The Secret Wisdom of the Qabbalah by JFC Fuller, who is going to expand on the cosmogony of the Qabbalah and the problem of good and evil. Before I turn the page, I am going to provide a brief background on the Qabbalah. Clearly, be forewarned, I am not a scholar, so this is not the place if you're looking into a deep dive on this topic. Nonetheless, it could serve as a starting point. I did leave links from my research in the description of this video. While the roots of Kabbalah stretch back to ancient Jewish mystical traditions, the term Kabbalah as a specific body of mystical thought emerged in the 12th and 13th centuries in oddest of places, Provence and Spain. The etymology of the word originates from the Hebrew word kabal, meaning to receive or to accept. Initially, the term Kabbalah referred to the oral law, the Talmud, which was considered to be received after the destruction of the Second Temple. Later, it became associated with the mystical teachings that began to circulate among the Jewish communities. The English word Cabal, C-A-B-A-L, is said to refer to a secret group of conspirators and is derived from the Hebrew word Kabbalah, but does not reflect the original meaning of the term within Jewish mysticism. Going back to the Kabbalah and its roots, Jews began settling in Provence and Spain during ancient times, with some presence even before the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem during the Rabbinic period, also known as the Talmudic period in Jewish history. This era spanned from the destruction of the Second Temple, as I just mentioned, which was around 70 CE, up to the Muslim conquest of Palestine in 638 CE. This is said to mark the emergence and development of the Mishnah and the Talmud, which are central texts in Jewish law and tradition. When we look at this timeline and migration, it is no wonder that the author describes the origins of the Kabbalah as primeval, being lost in the mists of legend, magic, and folklore, which has grown through a process of mystical integration until it absorbed all the great myths of the world, and hence there appears to be a blend of many concepts found in other philosophies and religions within the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah wasn't a singular event, but rather a convergence of factors that created a fertile ground for the development and flourishing of this mystical tradition within Judaism. Provence and Spain were established centers of Jewish learning and intellectual life. Jews first migrated to Spain and Provence during the period of the Second Temple around the 1st century CE, following the destruction of the Temple in Jerusalem. Scholars emphasize the importance of this period in Provence and Spain as a written stage for Jewish mysticism. This shift from oral transmission to the creation of identifiable text, whose authorship and context could be traced, was crucial for organizing and disseminating Kabbalistic knowledge. Keep in mind, the Pentateuch, the first 5 books, also known as the Torah or the Old Testament, didn't appear all at once. In the books of the Old Testament, it is written that Moses wrote the first 5 books, yet scholars hold different opinions on the historicity of Moses. Some argue that it cannot be known if Moses ever lived, because no references to Moses appear in any Egyptian sources prior to the 4th century BC, long after he is believed to have lived. No contemporary Egyptian sources mention Moses or the events of Exodus, Deuteronomy. Some say that there is no archaeological evidence to support the story in which he is the central figure outside of the biblical sources. Yet, I did find an article in ancientorigins.net which state that archaeologists had uncovered intriguing secrets of a biblical city situated in the Promised Land, where the Israelites settled after their exodus from Egypt under Moses' leadership, which would have been roughly 1406 through 1407 BC, according to the Hebrew Bible. Their findings include stone walls, pottery, and other artifacts that date back over 3,200 years from Zanoah. Being intrigued by this information, I looked up the Israel Department of Antiquities and Museums, which publishes archaeological finds recorded during inspection activities, and on their website, they have a final report covering this specific excavation, which was released on March 13th, 2024. Mind you, the salvage excavation was conducted during the months of July through August of 2019, so it took them a while to publish that report, where they state that on the eastern slope of the hill on which Horbart Zanoah is situated, Zanoah is a moshav in central Israel, and a moshav is a type of cooperative agriculture settlement mostly characterized by individual farms that are part of a larger cooperative community. Incidentally, Zanoah as a biblical town is mentioned in the Old Testament, primarily within the context of the tribal allotments and the post-exilic period of Israel's history. It is located in the Shephelah, the lowland region of Judah, and is noted for its role in the restoration efforts led by Nehemiah. You can find it in the Bible book of Nehemiah, chapter 3, verse 13. This excavation revealed retaining walls supporting farming terrace. So back to the excavation. The scholars dated the walls to be from the early Byzantine period, and this is interesting because the Byzantine period would have overlapped significantly with the period in which the Babylonian Talmud was developed and finalized. There was much going on in that region. It is also documented that many artifacts were retrieved from the excavation. The report is very thorough. The link is worth checking out. As I mentioned, visit the description of this video and you'll find that and many other links that I used here for my introduction. So the finds comprised of pottery, including a jar handled bearing a LMLK stamp impression and a stone bowl, both dating from the end of the Iron Age, pottery and coins from the Second Temple period, glass shards and coins from the early Byzantine period. Of interest were the objects bearing LMLK stamp, Lamed Mem Lamed Kaf, commonly pronounced El Melech, meaning belonging to the king. These seal impressions were found in and around Jerusalem on fragmented jar handles, interpreted as royal stamps that may be from the king of Judah, where it was first issued during the reign of Hezekiah around 700 BC. All I can say is that while scholars pass their time debating Moses the Egyptian from Moses the Hebrew or the biblical Moses, there is no denying that before anything was written down, much of it was passed down through oral tradition. People memorized stories, repeated them in community, and passed them down long before it was put on scrolls. And I think on that, you and I can both agree. These traditions and beliefs have become, for many, their way and their truth. And with that, I now turn the page. The Secret Wisdom of the Qabbalah by JFC Fuller. This book is in the public domain. Chapter 2. The Cosmogony of the Qabbalah. The Primal Cause. In its most condensed form, the cosmogony of the Qabbalah may be defined as a process of world emanation from no thing, through the form of man, back again to no thing, man being the equilibrating center. In idea, it is a little removed from the latest conception of science, which looks upon the universe as something which has condensed out of the immaterial into the material, and which in the course of time will be radiated back into immateriality. Further, that the material is only cognizable through the mind of man. The primal cause is called the ayin, the no thing. That is a something which, transcending the human intellect, can only be described negatively. It is so named because we do not know, and it is impossible to know that which there is in this principle, because it never descends as far as our ignorance, and because it is above wisdom itself. Out of this no thing emerges, as it were, the Ein Sof, the endlessness, boundlessness, and eternality of nothing. Therefore, in a way, a qualified nothingness. In the book of Job we read, "He stretcheth out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing." It is also called Atika da Atikin, the ancient of all the ancients, and the Atika Kadosha, the sacred ancient. It is sexless, and it is sometimes described as the non-ego or not I, the ayin being altogether beyond the I. In the Zohar we read, "And there went forth, as a sealed secret, from the head of the Ein Sof, a nebulous spark of matter without shape or form, a center of a circle, neither white nor black, neither red nor green, in fact, without any color." This is in the Ein Sof Aur, light, not as a contradistinction to darkness, but as a vibration. First, so the symbolism describes, the Ein Sof withdrew itself into itself to form an infinite space, the abyss. In this space appeared a point of light, or life-giving energy, which filled it. The Ein Sof Aur is consequently pictured as contraction and expansion of sucking in and throwing out within itself. It therefore symbolizes the centripetal and centrifugal energies of creation, which through their rhythm constitute the infinite light out of which the universe is made. This light has been called the idealized blood of the universe. This trinity of primal causes, the Ayin, the Ein Sof, and the Ein Sof Aur, is concealed in the first 3 verses of the book of Genesis. The creation out of God, since everything in the heavens and the earth comes from the no thing, the Spirit of God, and the light which emanated from God's spiritual voice, the totality of 22 letters, or words, "Let there be light." The graspable beginning is light. All before it, or so to say, behind or beyond it, is impenetrable mystery and absolute darkness to the mind. From the Ein Sof Aur emanates Aya, Hyha, the I or I am, abstract thought. Then YHVH, Yahweh, HVHY, it who was and is and will be, thought in time. And lastly, Elohim, Mi-L-A, God in nature, and God in the Bible, in which JHVH, Jehovah or Yahweh, is translated as Lord, the equivalent of the Hebrew Adonai. For the true name of Tetragrammaton, Yahweh, may not be pronounced, Jehovah. Thus, as the Ayin, the Ein Sof, and the Ein Sof Aur form a group of 3 unthinkable principles, so do Aya, Yahweh, and Elohim form a group of 3 intelligent principles, abstract thoughts, thought in time, and thought in everything. For the whole universe arose out of the voice, the creative instrument, which expressed the ineffable thought of light in the words Yeher Aur, let there be light. Thus, to the Kabbalists, the universe is a divine form reflected in a beam of light, a form which will vanish utterly back into the Ayin when this beam is cut off. Existence, therefore, is light, perhaps that light which present-day science calls radiation. The Sephirotic scheme. According to the Zohar, the act of creation took place as follows. When the Most Mysterious wished to reveal himself, he first produced a single point which was transmuted into a thought, and in this he executed innumerable designs and engraved innumerable gravings. He further graved within the sacred and mystic lamp a mystic and most holy design, which was a wondrous edifice issuing from the midst of thought. This edifice is Elohim, the conjunction of the who and the these, as already explained. Again we read, before God created the world, his name was enclosed within him, and therefore he and his name enclosed within him were not one. Nor could this unity be effected until he created the world. Having therefore decided to do so, he traced and built, but the aim was not attained until he enfolded himself in a covering of a supernal radiance of thought, and created therefrom a world. He produced from the light of that supernal radiance mighty cedars, 6 days of creation of the upper world, and placed his chariot on 22 graven letters which were carved in 10 utterances, the numerals or Sephiroth, and infixed therein. As long as God's name was enclosed within him, no thingness persisted, for unity can only become perceptible through a difference. This difference was thought, out of which the world was created. Thoughts are expressed in words formed from the alphabet of 22 letters and the numerals 0 to 9. In 32 mysterious paths of wisdom did the Lord write. He created his universe by the 3 forms of expression, numbers, letters, and words, 10 ineffable Sephiroth, and 22 basal letters, 3 mothers, A, A, Aleph, Air, M, Mem, water, W, Shin, fire, 7 double, B, G, D, K, P, R, T, H, the, and 12 simple letters, H, V, Z, C, H, Ch, T, I, L, N, S, O, T, Z, Z, Q. The single point which was transmuted into a thought is the first Sephiroth, Kither or crown. It is the principle of all the principles, the mysterious wisdom, the crown of all that which there is of the Most High, the diadem of the diadems. The divine name in Kither is Eye, I am. The Sephirotic scheme may be condensed as follows. Kither is also called Abba, the Father. It is the will or ego from which the remaining 9 Sephiroth emanate. The second Sephira is Bina, the universal intellect or understanding, also called Imma or mother. Whilst Kither is positive, form, male, Bina is negative and plastic, the receiver of form and therefore matter, female, because everything existing can only be the work of the male and female principles. The second emanation from Kither is called Chokmah, wisdom, the word, logos, or sun. It is the male principle in activity, for through it all things are generated, by means of the 32 paths. It gives everything existing shape and size. This Sephira is the spiritus mundi. From Chokmah is derived the balance of the Sephiroth, the next 6 of which refer to the dimensions of the universe, length, breadth, and depth, moving as it were outwardly towards the positive and the negative, the male and the female principles each, therefore, in 2 directions. Together they form the 6 faces of the perfect cube, the stone of the wise. The 10th Sephira, Malkuth, the kingdom or Sabbath, represents rest, poise, and completion. These first 3 Sephiroth, Kither, Bina, and Chokmah, Father, Mother, and Son, the supernal triad, constitute the intelligible or intellectual world. And since the Holy Ancient is expressed and impressed by 3, i.e., Ayin, Ein Sof, and Ein Sof Aur, the expression, and Kither, Bina, Chokmah, the impression, so also all the lamps that receive their light from the Holy Ancient are triadic. The second triad is called the moral or sensuous world. It is the world soul which emanates from the world spirit, spiritus mundi. It consists of the positive or male principle, hesed, which means grace or mercy, also called gedula, magnificence, and the negative or female principle, pahad, punishment, also called jebura, severity, and din, judgment. These 2 unite in the 6th Sephira, Tifera, beauty, the highest manifestation of ethical life, the ideal. The third triad is called the physical or material world and consists of the male or positive Sephira, Netzah, triumph or victory, and the female or negative Hod, glory or splendor. They constitute the arms of God and represent the centripetal and centrifugal energies of the universe, for all the energies, forces, and increase in the universe proceed through them. In turn, they unite in the Sephirah Jesod foundation, the principle of all generation. They represent the deity as the universal power, creator, and generator of all the existences. As this third triad is the Natura Naturans, so is the 10th and last Sephirah, the Natura Naturata, the material world, namely Malkuth, the kingdom. This Sephirah represents the feet of the heavenly Adam, about whom more anon, his head resting in Kether, and in the name of the deity is Adonai, the Lord, that is the ineffable Yahweh. Malkuth is also called the queen, the matrona, the matron, the daughter, bride, the Shekinah, the real presence of the deity, and harmony. Finally, we obtain a fourth triad, a synthetic one formed out of Kether, Tipereth, and Malkuth. The first influences the Neshama, the spirit and moral consciousness. The second influences the Ruah, the reason and intellectual faculty. And the third, the Nefesh, the instincts, sentiments, and emotions, the animal life in man. Thus from the Ein Sof Aur flow out the 10 Sephiroth, or principles. Hence the Decad is considered the perfect number by the Kabbalah, the all-embracing unit emerging from the no thing, 0 to 1, and the unity which ultimately is to be radiated back into no-thingness, 1 to 0. Origin of the Sephiroth. Before we examine each Sephirah in turn, it may be of some interest to the reader to inquire into the origins of this philosophical system. Though preeminently Jewish, it is nevertheless eminently universal. The word is probably derived from RPS, Sepher, which means to number or to count, and the 10 Sephiroth are frequently abbreviated as S, Y, and Samek plus Sod equals 70, the numerical value of DVS, Sod, secret. They are consequently occult numbers. This diagram represents a half section divided perpendicularly of the inverted bowl-shaped universe. AB, BC, CE, and EG are the four worlds. AB is the father, Anu or Kether, BC the son, Bel or Hokmah, CE the mother, Ea or Bina. Above all is Eo or El, the Ayin. A is the zodiac, the great ocean called the deep and the abyss. B is the zone of the fixed stars. A to C is the upper firmament, and C to E the lower firmament. A to B is the zone of the spirits of heaven, and B to C the zone of the planets. C to E is the zone of the winds, storms, and clouds. E is the convex hollow earth shell. FF is the concave hollow underworld of 7 zones, realm of the ghost world, and G is the nadir or root. In it are the waters of life and the throne of chaos, and below it are 21 hells. Isaac Meyer finds a remarkable similarity between the cosmos of the Zohar and that of the ancient Chaldeans. He writes, in AB, BC, CE, and EG, we have similarities to the four worlds. The 3 great heavens answer to the upper 3 Sephiroth. 1. That of the father, Abba, or Kether, the crown, to Anu, afterwards Ana, the place of the aether or highest sublimated air or atmosphere. 2. The sun, Bel, El, or Baal, the sublimated fire, answering to Hokmah, wisdom. 3. The mother, Ima, to Ea, the sublimated water, to Bina, the comprehending intellect. Above all these is Eo, Lu or El, the unknown ideal deity, which parallels the Ein Sof, endless, to man's comprehension, no thing. This unknown ideal deity held the highest place in the Chaldean mythology. Under these were the 7 planets in their 7 orbits, or spheres, the probable germ of the idea of the Sephiroth, or media between the highest and lowest worlds. Historically, interesting as these general origins are, philosophically, the most important correspondences are those connected with the Sephira Hokmah. For in many places in the Old Testament and in the New, especially in the works of St. Paul and St. John, is wisdom described as the creative power. The book of Genesis opens with the words, "in the beginning," which in Hebrew are rendered by the word Barashith, which by many Kabbalists is spelled Bereshith, which means through wisdom, or through the word, or principle which expresses wisdom, namely the logos of Philo and St. John. A similar idea is found in the Chaldaic word Memra, in the Vak of the Rig Veda, Hanover of the Zend Avesta, and the boundless light of the later day Buddhists. Nebo was the Babylonian god of wisdom, and his planet was Mercury. Moses, the supposed originator of the Kabbalah, was buried on Mount Nebo. Bo, Bod, Boden, and in China, Fo are all gods of wisdom. Amongst the Buddhists and Brahmins, the day of wisdom is Wednesday. Amongst the Scandinavians, we have Wo, Wod, and Woden. In Egypt, Thoth. In classical Greece, Hermes. And among the Romans, Mercury. All gods of wisdom, whose day is the fourth day of the week, Wednesday, upon which God created lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. Wisdom is not only the creator of the universe, but also the mediator between the uncreated and the created, God and man. In the form of Hokmah, the son of Kether, wisdom renders comprehensive the abstract thought in an association of ideas. Philo names it Messiah, and St. John, Christ. St. Paul says, "But we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom, which God ordained before the world unto our glory, which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory." Referring to Christ as the Son, this same apostle says, "Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature? For by him were all things created, that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist." Exist? Many other comparisons could be given, but the above must suffice to show how deep-rooted are the origins of the Sephirotic scheme, and how surely they have branched upwards into the mystical foundations of Christianity. The 10 Sephiroth. 1. R-U-K, Kether, the crown. As we have explained, this first Sephira represents I am as being, that is, as pure existence. It is neither positive nor negative, but positive-negative, and though sexless, it is androgynous. Though the primordial point of light, it is nevertheless the circumference of all things, the center of which is nowhere because it is in no thing, containing all the potency of Tetragrammaton, Yahweh. It is simultaneously past, present, and future. In the letter Yod, which corresponds to it, is enclosed the eminence of the 10 Sephiroth. Frequently it is called the Ancient of the Ancients, the Ancient, or the Ancient of Days. For instance, in the book of Daniel we read, "I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire." Kether is also called the white head, the long face, macroprosopos, and Adam Kadmon or Adam Ilah, the supernal or primordial or heavenly Adam. The remaining Sephiroth are the short face. In the angelic order, Kether is represented by the beast of Ezekiel, the holy living creatures of the chariot throne, namely the 4 cherubim, the eagle, man, lion, and bull, which represents the 4 elements: air, smell, water, taste, fire, sight, and earth, touch. Also, it includes in its mysterious nature the 4 letters of Tetragrammaton as follows: Y, lion, H, man, V, eagle, and H, bull. But as in itself, Kether is also the Shekinah, the glory of God. In it is the hidden, the Shin, W, which symbolizes spirit. As the Ein Sof is represented by the closed eye, so is Kether represented by the open eye. Compare the eye of Shiva in Hindu mythology. As long as this eye remains open, the universe is maintained in being, but when it shuts, it vanishes into non-being, that is, no-thingness. In the threefold division of man's nature, Kether represents the neshama, or spirit. 2. RNYB, Bina, mind. This Sephira is sometimes placed second and sometimes third, and it is generally called the understanding. It is feminine and negative, the matter, as it were, in which Kether can take form and propagates itself. Bina is often called the Heavenly Mother or Holy Spirit. Her letter is H, the numerical value of which is 5. Bina possesses 50 gates, which is symbolical of the He multiplied by the Yod. Her symbol is the dove. Her dimension is depth, whilst Kether's is length. Compare the lingam and yoni in Hindu mythology. And her color is sky blue, the color of the Virgin Mary. From the union between Kether and Bina emanates Chokmah. 3. HMKC, Chokmah, wisdom. The third Sephira is the sun or logos and the firstborn. It represents abstract ideas, the fruit of the I am forming in the mind. In the Kabbalah, it is often called the only begotten Son. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Here we have presented to us the logos nature of Chokmah. Its color is yellow or red-orange, the color of Christ. It is positive and male, and its letter is V, Vau, equals 6, which multiplied by the 50 gates of Bina reveals W, Shin, equals 300, the glory of God. The final H, He, of the Tetragrammaton represents the remaining 7 Sephiroth. This revelation of the Shin shows the triadic nature of the first 3 Sephiroth, which constitute the intellectual world, and it closely relates it to many mysteries. Thus, in YDW, Shaddai, Almighty, the name of the deity before he revealed himself as Yahweh, YHVH, the Shin comes first. In Messiah, HYWM, and the exoteric Jesus, OVWY, it comes second. In the esoteric Yeshua, HVWHY, it comes in the middle. And in serpent, WHK, it comes last. In Yeshua, it is the letter of mercy, for it is the central equilibrating fire. In all the others, it is the letter of wrath, for it is out of equilibrium, and particularly so in Shaddai and the serpent. In actual conception, these 3 Sephiroth form a trinity in unity of knowledge, that which knows and that by which it is known. They unite in themselves everything and are themselves united to the no thing. 4. DSC, Hesed, grace, love, mercy, or compassion. From Chokhmah emanate 6 Sephiroth, which, as we have explained, symbolize the dimensions of matter. Hesed is the right arm of macrocosmos. It endows the world with feeling and sentiment. 5. DHP, Pahad, rigor, punishment, fear, or severity. This Sephiroth is the left arm of macrocosmos. It is feminine and passive. As Hesed is masculine and active, as Hesed symbolizes life, so does Pahad symbolize death. 6. URAPU, Tifereth, beauty. This Sephira is the common center or harmony of Hesed and Pahad, of life and death, the active and passive in the moral world. Its symbol is the sun, the heart of the universe, and also the heart of Adam Kadmon, the supernal Adam. Tifereth is the seat of sentiment and the ethical qualities. It is inhabited by the Ruach, the reasoning soul. 7. CXN, Netzah, triumph, firmness, or victory. This is the first of the 3 energetic principles. It represents the right leg and thigh of macrocosmos. 8. DVH, Hod, splendor or glory. This is the left leg and thigh of macrocosmos. By triumph and glory, we comprehend extension, multiplication, and force, because all the forces which were born into the universe went out of their bosom, and it is for this reason that these 2 Sephiroth are called the armies of Yahweh. 9. DVSY, Yesod, foundation. The Sephiroth is the seat of the generative principle. Everything shall return to its foundation, from which it has proceeded. All marrow, seed, and energy are gathered in this place. 10. UVKLM, Malkuth, kingdom or dominion. As Kether is the harmony at the beginning, so is Malkuth the harmony at the end. The first, the head, and the last, the feet of Adam Kadmon. The divine name attached to this Sephira is Adonai, the Tetragrammaton. Malkuth is also called the Queen, Shekinah, and Hava, Eve. It is the seat of Nefesh, the instincts, and its angel is Metatron, the angel of the covenant, the letters of whose name equal in numerical value those of Shaddai, namely 3, 1, 4. Behold, I send an angel before thee, to keep thee in the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. The Tree of Life. The 10 Sephiroth, when combined with the 22 letters, form what is known as the Tree of Life, which constitutes the framework of Adam Kadmon, the heavenly Adam, similar in anatomy to his human counterpart, the earthly Adam. Man is a combination of 3 spheres of force, the intellectual, the moral, and the physical, which are related to the neshama, ruah, and nefesh. These forces or qualities find their activity in the outer or material world, which is alone cognizable and therefore existent to man because of his threefold constitution. Like the body of man, the Tree of Life is itself divided horizontally into 4 planes and vertically by 3 trunks or pillars. The central pillar, known as harmony or mildness, or sometimes as the perfect pillar, consisting of Kether, Tifereth, Yesod, and Malkuth, is the Tree of Life as mentioned in the book of Genesis. The right-hand pillar, that of Chokhmah, Hesed, and Netzah, is active, male, and positive, and is called the Pillar of Mercy, whilst that of Bina, Pahad, and Hod is passive, female and negative, and is called the pillar of justice. These two pillars constitute the tree of the knowledge of good and evil because they are made up of unbalanced forces which can only find equilibrium in the central trunk or pillar. The active mood of the divine light enters the right-hand pillar through Chokmah, and the passive mood enters through Bina. The union of these two lights creating the central pillar, the word or logos. The foundation of this word, by balancing the moods of light, constitutes the great magical work of the Kabbalah. The student of the occult will be apparent that these two trees closely resemble the letter Shin, and also the caduceus of Hermes with its central rod and its two entwined serpents, and also the Ida, Pingala, and central Shushuma of Hindu yoga. The whole scheme is symbolized in the Temple of Solomon, the temple itself being the central pillar, whilst its two pylons, Yakin and Boaz, the white and the black, the right and the left, represent the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the eternal complementary forces in life without which nothing can be. This symbolism is an excessively ancient one. Thus, in the Norse mythology, we find the mystic tree Yggdrasil, the roots of which are in the material world, and the branches of which reach up to Asgard, the happy dwelling of the gods. Again, amongst the Akkadians, Chaldeans, and Babylonians, we find the world tree, or tree of life, which stood midway between the deep and Zigum, the primordial heaven above. In Hindu mythology, there is also a world tree, the Lingam, and in Buddhist, the Bodhi tree, or tree of wisdom under which Buddha sat in meditation. Finally, that masterpiece of Gothic architecture, the cathedral, probably finds its origin in the tree trunks and overhanging branches of the forest glade. The four worlds. Thus far, the Sephirotic scheme may be considered as simple, but in its extended form it grows complex, for not only is the tree of life divided into three planes which become four in Malkuth, but it is projected from the Godhead through four worlds, each containing a tree of 10 Sephiroth, and each Sephiroth containing within itself 10 of these intelligences, each of which is threefold in nature, for as it is written, just as the ancient is represented by the number 3, so are all the other lights of a threefold nature. In all there are, therefore, 400 Sephiroth in the world scheme, and as 400 is the numerical value of Yu, Tao, the, Th, the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. 400 completes the cycle of the creative voice or logos. As the threefold order is intellectually important, so is the fourfold order physically important. The two multiply together, making 12, and representing the zodiac, the 12 months of the year, etc., and consequently the entire creative cycle symbolized by two interlaced six-pointed stars or seals of Solomon, the one being the greater work below and the other the greater work above. There are four manifestations: the no thing, the intellectual world, the sensuous world, and the physical world. Also the four elements: air, fire, water, and earth, the four living beasts of the chariot throne, and the four letters in the name of the Tetragrammaton. In the Zohar we read, "The firmament is imprinted at the four corners of a square, with four figures of a lion, an eagle, an ox, and a man. And the face of a man is traced in all of them, so that the face of lion is of man, the face of eagle is of man, and the face of ox is of man, all being comprehended in him." Hence the four great Kabbalistic worlds together form a unit, a single great man, the macrocosm or Adam Elah, the archetypal man, the form of the universe through which is manifested the divine essence of the Ein Sof. Their names are Atzilus, or the Atzilusic world, the archetypal world, or the world of emanations, the 10 Sephiroth, of which represent the operative qualities of the divine will. This world is also called the Great Seal, for it stamps out in its own form the three inferior worlds. It is the abode of Adam Kadmon. 2. Bria, or the Briatic world, the world of creation, the 10 Sephiroth of which represent the abode of pure spirits. Consequently, it contains no matter. It is the dwelling of the angel Metatron, and constitutes the world of angels or spirits. As Adam Kadmon is the form of the Ein Sof, Metatron is his garment, and under his command come the myriads of the angelic hosts of the next world. 3. Yetzirah, or the Yetziratic world, the world of formation, the 10 Sephiroth of which represent the angels or intelligences of the stars and planets. The Zohar says, "For the servants, Sephiroth, that serve the holy, blessed be he. It made the throne, the Briatic world, and 4 supports, pillar of mildness, and 6 steps, pillars of mercy and justice to the throne, together 10. The whole is like a cup of blessing." That which is in the 10 words, like the Torah, which is given in 10 words, and as the universe, which is the Maseh Bereshith, which has been created by 10 sayings. The holy, blessed be he, affixed to the throne legions to serve it, the 10 angelic hosts of this world, and for the service of these, the holy, blessed be he, made Samael and his legions, who are as it were the clouds to be used to come down upon the earth. And they are the horses, and above the cloud is the Merkabah, the chariot throne. Therefore it is said, Isaiah 19, verse 1, "Behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Misraim, Egypt, and so the holy, blessed be he, rules Misraim." This world is seemingly the abode of Tetragrammaton. 4. Asaya, or the Asiatic world, the world of action, also called the world of Qliphoth, that is, the world of shells or demons. In its 10 Sephiroth lives the actual material substance of the universe. It is the abode of Samael, the Prince of Darkness. It is subject to change, birth, death, corruption, and rebirth, yet not anything in it, considered, is ever totally annihilated or destroyed in essence or atom. It is the abode of the evil spirit and his demonical forces. Such are the 4 worlds. In the simple Sephirotic scheme, the first is referred to Kether, Chokhmah, and Bina, the second to Hesed, Pahad, and Tifereth, and the third to Netzah, Hod, and Yesod, and the 4 to affixed to the throne legions to serve it, the 10 angelic hosts of this world. And for the service of these, the holy, blessed be he, made Samael and his legions, who are as it were the clouds to be used to come down upon the earth. And they are the horses, and above the cloud is the Merkabah, the chariot throne. Therefore it is said, Isaiah 9:1, "Behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Misraim, Egypt. And so the holy, blessed be he, rules Misraim." This world is seemingly the abode of Tetragrammaton. Such are the 4 worlds. In the simple Sephirotic scheme, the first is referred to Kether, Chokhmah, and Bina, the second to Hesed, Pahad, and Tifereth, the third to Netzah, Hod, and Yesod, and the 4th to Malkut. Also in Genesis 1, "Let there be light," refers to Aziluthic world. Elohim saw the light, that it was good, refers to the Briatic world. Elohim divided the light from the darkness refers to the Yetziratic world, and Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night, refers to the Asiatic world. Thus the whole process of creation is the evolution of light, from an absolute quality to a tangible quality, from what is incomprehensible to what is comprehensible, from what is from God and beyond man to what is of God and within man. For all and everything is light, in varying forms of density or purity. From light we come and unto light we go. The great Kabbalistic secret being the transmutation of darkness, light in its material form, into illuminism, that is, light in its spiritual form. Such is the grand telesma of the world. End of chapter. Chapter 3. The problem of good and evil. Good and evil. Thus far, we have dealt with the theory of the Kabbalah in its esoteric, philosophical, and cosmological forms. Now we shall enter more and more deeply into its esoteric spirit. We shall meet with many contradictions, for the Kabbalah is full of gropings in opposite directions, yet in the end, for the greater part, they cancel each other out, leaving to the searcher after truth a clear, illuminating picture. We start with the archetypal, the world as an idea, a thought, a mathematical conception such as space, which contains all things. To this idea we add a creative impulse, and the world is endowed with a will to unfold itself, and we enter the sphere of time, of thought in extension. From this unfolding emerges form, geometricity, or a multiplication of spaces, shadows of things to be. So far there is no materiality, only mathematics, numbers and letters, symbols of shapes which are still dreaming. Lastly, in these forms movement is born, and they become what we call substantial. Then only do we enter the physical world of action, of materialized thought. A movement presupposes a working outwards from a center, or a working inwards from a circumference, a breathing in and out. In both there is a starting point and a beyond the starting point, a duality which presupposes a choice between at least two directions, the value of each differing according to the circumstances which surround each at any given time. Consequently, in the intellectual sphere, there must always be a right and a wrong path of action. In the moral sphere, a good and a bad path, and in the physical sphere, one which gains or loses, assists or resists. These three series of opposite, but in reality, complementary principles have ever since the beginning of human thought perplexed the mind of man, and none more so than the second, which has revolved round the problem of good and evil. Deeply and searchingly has the Kabbalist meditated upon this problem, until wisdom revealed to him that the world of action is fashioned of two distinct yet inseparable elements: the positive life-giving principle, which reveals itself as energy, and the negative death-giving principle, which reveals itself as inertia. To him the first is spiritual, and the second material. The one symbolizes by the host of angels, and the other by the evil spirits of the Qliphoth. Isaac Meyer explains this very clearly when he writes, "The Kabbalah does not recognize in the good and evil two independent automatic opposing powers, but both are, according to it, under the power of the supreme absolute deity. It asserts that the evil springs out of the good, and only originated from a diversion of the latter. Evil exists for God's own wise purpose, by the sufferance of the Absolute One, who gives us the blighting cold, frost, and night, and also the beneficent and blessed daylight, warmth, and sunshine. Man therefore partakes of two regions, that of the external, visible matter world, that of evil and darkness, and that of the internal spiritual higher world, that of goodness and light." The German philosopher Hegel holds that a thing can only exist through its opposite, that the thing and its opposite must arise together, and that eternally, as the complements of a unity. White is not without black, nor black without white. Good is not without, nor is evil without good. This is the doctrine of the Sifra, Ditsinutha, and the Sifra Yetzira. At the very beginning of the life germ, dissolution and death oppose its vitality and endeavor to destroy it, and the whole existence of man in this world is a continual struggle to preserve his vitality. Isaiah says in his magnificent language, I am Yehovah, and there is none else. There is not any Elohim besides me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me, that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me. I am Yehovah, and there is none else. I from light create darkness. I make safety, and I create misfortune. I, Yehovah, do all these things. Isaiah's words are pure Kabbalah. For instance, in the Zohar we read, Observe, he said, that the Holy One, blessed be he, made a right and a left for the ruling of the world. The one is called good, and the other evil, and he made man to be a combination of the two. And again, when the Holy One, blessed be he, created the world, he created it by means of the letters of the Torah, all the letters of the alphabet having presented themselves before him until finally the letter Beth was chosen for the starting point. But when it came to the turn of the Teth and the Resh to present themselves together, the Teth refused to take its place, so God chid it, saying, O Teth, Teth, why, having come up, art thou loth to take thy place? It replied, Seeing that thou hast placed me at the head of Tob, good, how can I associate with the Resh, the initial of Ra, evil? God thereupon said to it, Go to thy place, as thou hast need of the Resh, for man, whom I am about to create, will be composed of you both, but thou wilt be on his right, whilst the other will be on his left. In the book of Genesis, this duality in man is hidden in the words, Let us make him in our image, that is, in light, after our likeness. Simulacrum, or shadow, that is, in darkness, which is the garment of light. The purpose of evil is to stimulate goodness. The Holy One inflicts suffering on the righteous in this world in order that they may merit the world to come. But he who is weak of soul and strong of body is hated of God. It is because God has no pleasure in him that he inflicts no pain upon him in this world, but permits his life to flow smoothly along with ease and comfort, in that for any virtuous act he may perform, he receives his reward in this world, so that no portion should be left him in the next world. Again, all the acts of the Almighty are in accordance with justice, and his purpose is to purify that soul from the scum that adheres to it in this world, so as to bring it into the world to come. Here, mildly though it may be, we are introduced to the pernicious doctrine of Manichaeism, which is still further accentuated in the following quotation. Every man has a forestate of death during the night, because the holy soul then leaves him, and the unclean spirit rests on the body and makes it unclean. When, however, the soul returns to the body, the pollution disappears, save from the man's hands, which retain it and thus remain unclean. Hence a man should not pass his hands over his eyes before washing them. The open eye symbolizes Kether. When he has washed them, however, he becomes sanctified and is called holy. For this sanctification 2 vessels are required, one held above and the other placed beneath, so that he may be sanctified by the water poured on his hands from the vessel above. The lower vessel, then, is the vessel of uncleanness, whilst the upper vessel is a medium of sanctification. Between those opposites of good and evil is placed the free will of man, which establishes harmony between them and by which man exercises the divine power of judgment. Man is, therefore, a living representative of the tree of life, or, conversely, the tree of life is a pictorial representation of man. To the tree of life, each sephira is both good and evil. Good in its relation to the sephira immediately above it, and evil in its relation to the Sephirah immediately below it. In the Sefer Yetzirah we read, the ineffable Sephiroth, they are the infinity of the beginning and the infinity of the end, the infinity of the good and the infinity of the evil. And again, 22 basal letters, they are placed together in a ring as a wall with 231 gates. The ring may be put in rotation forwards or backwards, and its token is this: nothing excels GNO equals ONG equals pleasure in good, and nothing excels OGN equals NGO equals plague in evil. In man, good and evil represent the pillars of mercy and severity, or justice, whilst free will represents the central pillar of mildness. The mystery of good, will, and evil is the foundation of the symbolical Temple of Solomon. Meyer writes, the widow's son, Hiram Abif of Tyre, cast for the Kabbalistic Temple of King Solomon 2 high pillars, or pylons of bronze. Their capitals were pomegranates and lily work. The lily, most likely the lotus, an emblem of life, white or male, on the right side, the pomegranate, the emblem of fecundity and plasticity, red or female, on the left. The first was called Yakin, the later Boaz. These columns represented understanding, Bina, H, and wisdom, Hokmah, V, and between them was the temple of Kether, Y, the Father. Here we see symbols of the former, the harmony, and the to be formed. All energy must have resistance, all light must have darkness, all projector or emanation a hollow or excavation to receive efflux. Affirmation supposes a negation. If the first androgyny had not been separated into male and female, the result would have been entire sterility, as was the result as to the 7 kings of Edom described in Genesis and the Qabbalah. And the balance not existing, the forms did not and could not exist, and the emanation of the existences could not proceed and be manifest. Sympathy and antipathy governed by harmony is the secret not only of the spiritual, but of the moral and physical worlds. The letter Yod, He, and Vav are their symbols, and together they form Yahweh, Gnostic, Iao, the ineffable name. This symbolism is universal because it is universally true. In the zodiac, Scorpio, male, and Virgo, female, are united by Libra, the balance. The 3 divine essentials are necessity and liberty, linked together by harmony. Truth cannot exist without doubt, hope without fear, life without death. And so we find that whatever the attempted explanation is, good and evil are necessary, one to the other, just as are the centripetal and centrifugal forces of the heavenly bodies. Everywhere are they to be found except in the Absolute, where all things come to rest in nothingness, nothingness. In this duality of good and evil, the danger is that the uninitiated see 2 separate unities. They see good as God and evil as Satan. Consequently, they love the one and hate the other, and so establish a disunity within and among themselves. This is the foundation of Manichaeism. They cannot see, as the Mishnah says, that God has placed in all things one to oppose the other, and that good purifies evil, and evil purifies good. This is the essential ignorance which separates Christianity from Judaism. For to the Christians, salvation consists in the conquest of evil, that is, in its separation from the good. The evolution of Satan. The personification of evil in the form of Satan as the god of evil is the heresy which separates Christianity from Judaism. Consequently, in order to understand what this heresy entails, it is of vital importance to inquire into the nature of the Hebrew Samael, the genius of the Jesuitic world, the world of angels, that is, of intelligences. This task is a highly complex one, for it is wrapped up in the principle of necessity, because outside the no thing, deity is not a free agent. As we have seen in the last chapter, Adam Kadmon, that is, deity in the form of the archetypal man, the great seal, and consequently the great mystery, by a process of inversion, that is, of fall or reflection, becomes Metatron in the Briatic world. And then Metatron, by a similar process, becomes Samael in the Jezeratic world. In this world, Samael's clouds of angels are the horses of Tetragrammaton, which bring Yahweh into Egypt, that is, into the Asiatic world, for Egypt typifies darkness. His chariot is the Merkaba, throne of magic. Tetragrammaton is the charioteer, and as his two horses, two categories of angels, typify good and evil, the white and the black, or the white and the red. Tetragrammaton himself represents the fall of Yetziratic harmony. In fact, the symbolism here describes the descent of the tree of life into Asia, where it is reversed and changed from harmony into discord, that is, into activity. Why should this descent take place? The answer is of necessity. Tetragrammaton must descend because only by descending can he complete the cycle of emanations, and so ultimately, through a reverse process of emanation, reinstate the no-thingness of the Ayin. As we have shown, the first fall is from the Ayin Sof to Adam Kadmon, the second from Adam Kadmon to Metatron, the third from Metatron to Samael, and the fourth from the angelic Samael to his demoniacal counterpart. For we are told that life in the present dispensation is cut short through the influence of the evil serpent, whose dominion is symbolized by the darkened moon. The mention of the evil serpent presupposes the existence of a good serpent, the serpent of Yetzirah. To simplify this problem, it is necessary to enter more deeply into the idea of the fall. Samael, of necessity, revolts against deity, as symbolized by Metatron, and of necessity he is cast out of heaven, that is, out of the Yetziratic world. In the Asiatic world, the world of matter, in order to redeem himself of necessity, he has to tempt the earthly Adam. His task there is to cause death, that is, to reverse the life process. As the Zohar says, the end of all flesh has come before me, Samael. For he, as the evil serpent, takes away the souls of all flesh. That is, he liberates them from matter. He is called the angel of venom, of poison, of death. For Sam means poison, and El means angel. His number is 131. That is, Trinity set between two unities, the whole adding up to 5, the microcosm. His world is now the Jetziratic world reversed. That is to say, Asia is the simulacrum, shadow, or image of Yetzirah. Its three supernal Sephiroth are Tohu, the formless, Bohu, the void, and Chizuk, darkness. Its 7 lower Sephiroth are 7 hells. Each of these 10 infernal Sephiroth is inhabited by a host of demons, of which the first 2 orders are without form, the third is of darkness, and the remaining 7 represent all human vices, activities. These 7 infernal halls, or hells, are subdivided into endless compartments, so as to afford a separate chamber of torture for every species of sin. The prince of this region of darkness is called Satan in the Bible. He is the same evil spirit, Satan the serpent, who seduced Eve. We are also told that the 10 Sephiroth of Atziluth have scintillated and brought forth the 10 Sephiroth of Bria, and from the energy of these 10 Braya sparkled forth the scintillations of the world Yetzirah. And through these, the 10 Sephiroth of the world Asia were sealed. These are the seals of St. John's Apocalypse. Thus it is disclosed to us that the God of Asia is the reversed Samael of Yetzirah, who is the reversed Metatron of Bria, who is the reversed Adam Kadmon of Atzilus. In brief, Samael in Asia is the reversed Adam Kadmon 3 times removed. He is the dark shadow of the manifestation of the great androgyny of good. He is Metatron in an active form, just as when in Yetzirah he is Metatron in a passive form, the serpent above and the serpent below. He is Tetragrammaton reversed, and this was grasped by Picus de Mirandula when he wrote in his Kabbalistic conclusions. The letters of the name of the evil demon, who is the prince of this world, are the same as those of the name of God, Tetragrammaton, and he who knows how to effect their transposition can effect one from the other. In brief, as the sorcerers were wont to proclaim, Daemon et Dieu inversus, like Adam Kadmon, the evil Samael is androgynous, for his female companion, or counterpart, is Eshes Senunim, Astet Senunim, the harlot or woman of whoredom, also called Lilith, which name signifies night. Samael is the active principle, Lilith is the passive. In union, they formulate the Antichrist, anti-logos, or anti-word, known under the name of Hayah, the beast, the numerical value of which is 25. That is 1 unit less than the numerical value of Tetragrammaton, which is 26. 1 is the numerical value of Aleph, hence Omar Khayyam we read. A hair perhaps divides the false and true. Yes, and a single Aleph were the clue. Could you but find it, to the treasure house, and peradventure to the master too. This mystery is solved as follows. Aleph is composed of 2 Yodin and a crossbar, which is a vowel. It represents the world above, separated from the world below by the vital force. Its value is consequently 10 plus 6 plus 10 equals 26, and 26 is the numerical value of Tetragrammaton. Its symbols are also the swastika, Phalfat, or Gamadian. The redemption from satanic rule can only be attained by seeing God as he really is and not as he is in his reflection. For as Eliphas Levi writes, according to the Kabbalists, the true name of Satan is that of Jehovah reversed. For Satan is not a black god, but the negation of deity. He is the personification of atheism and idolatry. The devil is not a personality for initiates, but a force created with a good object. Though it can be applied to evil, it is really the instrument of liberty. To God, the reflection of himself is evil, but to man, this reflection is good, so long as he does not attempt to emulate God by reflecting his own personal Shekinah, Shin, W, or soul, on the chaos of human ignorance that is on the unbalanced minds of those who surround him. In order to do so righteously, this chaos must first be stilled so that it may become a luminous mirror capable of reflecting the glory of the Shekinah in all its perfection. In the past, the diabolical error made even by some of the greatest masters and the most illuminatives was that when once they had reduced their consciousness to zero, and on the mirror thus they created had received the reflection of the Shekinah, they attempted to reflect this reflection on the unpurified minds of their followers. The result was not illuminism, but madness, not for them only, but for those intoxicated by them. In this diagram that is showing right now, A, Aleph, B, is the beginning of motion through opposition, C, the whirling forces of the zodiac, D, the female swastika, E, the male swastika. The 17 squares of the swastika refer to I, AO, whose numerical value is 17. and hence the mystery of Aleph shown in a diagram. In the first chapter of Genesis is depicted the fall of the Yetziratic deity through the inversion due to reflection. The glory of this deity, that is the Shekinah within it, being the agent which renders the formation of a simulacrum possible. According to the Zohar, Metatron sets all his legions in motion by the power of a single letter, Shin. This was the spoken word tetragrammaton which created light. When the Yetziratic emanation moved upon the face of the waters, the luminous mirror, and proclaimed Yehe Aor, value 222, let there be light, illumination. In proclaiming it, the Shekinah, astral light, ether, or by whatever name the reader chooses to call it, emerged from out of the Yetziratic deity, leaving the 4 tetragrammatic letters of his name reflected upon the deep. These 4 letters represent what may be called the materiality of this deity, the elements of air, fire, water, and earth. In themselves they are not spiritual, but are reflected upon spirit, the Shin, by going forth from the Yetziratic deity, rendering them visible. This transmutation of tetragrammaton, or the despiritualized good Samael, into matter is one of the profoundest mysteries of the Kabbalah, a mystery so secret that it is nowhere clearly explained. We are told that the name of tetragrammaton is unpronounceable, and this is in fact so, for though Yahweh, YHVH, can be pronounced as Yahweh or Jehovah, this is not the true name of tetragrammaton, for his name must contain the Shekinah as symbolized by the letter Shin. If this letter is placed in the center of the 4 letters of tetragrammaton, we obtain Sheshiva, which is Ishva, Sheshua, Jehoshua, Joshua, and Jesus, any one of which may be taken as the veritable name of the Yetziratic deity, the god or genius of the world of formation. The chief of the angelic host is YHWVH, equals 326 equals 11 equals 5 plus 6, the microcosm and the macrocosm. And only when the Shekinah, W, flames forth does tetragrammaton descend in the Merkaba, the chariot of magic, and become the great magician of the earthly world. To translate this involved symbolism in a simple way. God becomes manifest to our consciousness through the vibration of light, life, love, etc., his spirit. This manifestation is nevertheless not God, but the reflection of God in these vibrations. Consequently, of necessity, it must be reversed and becomes dog. The problem of free will. It is apparent that the center of this problem is the letter Shin, the most mysterious in the Hebrew alphabet. Its sound is like the hiss of a serpent, its appearance that of the open mouth of a snake, jaws and tongue, and its numerical value clearly shows its triadic nature. Further still, 300, its value, esoteric, symbolizes the 300 Sephiroth of the tree worlds which preceded the creation of world of matter. Though as a spiritual fire or glory, it is the symbol of the Shekinah. The Sefer Yetzirah hints that it also represents transmutation and the devil. Usually the 31st path of the Tree of Life is referred to it, and according to the 32 paths of wisdom, this path is called the perpetual intelligence, because it rules the movement of the sun and the moon according to their constitution and causes each to gravitate in its respective orb. In other words, it is the equilibrium force in the world of action. Kether, Chokmah, and Bina, Christ and the 2 thieves on their crosses, the caduceus of Hermes, the solar disk and dual serpents of Egypt, and according to Eliphas Levi, the astral light between the horns of Baphomet of Mendes, the pan-like Satan of the Templars. When erect, it is the rod of Aaron and the brazen serpent of Moses. Its 3 teeth or tongues represent 3 Vodin, and consequently may be translated into the number 666, the solar number and the number of the beast in the Apocalypse. According to the Sifra Ditsinuatha, it is the serpent which runs with 370 leaps. It leaps over mountains and hastily runs up over hills. The serpent holds its tail in its mouth with its teeth. It is perforated on both sides. When the perfect one, or the archangel Metatron, is raised up, the serpent is changed into 3 spirits. It is energy and the order within energy, the balance of the forces. As Meyer writes, the harmony is represented by the circle, by the serpent, an emblem of both Satan and wisdom, with its tail in its mouth. In the physical universe, it is the luminiferous aether, the vital caloric, the electromagnetic azoth. It is the ambient fluid which penetrates, permeates, vitalizes all things, the ray detached from the glory of the sun, fixed by the weight of the atmosphere, and crystallized by the central attraction to our earth. In the words of the erudite Jehuda A. Levi, AD 1140, there is not any life without motion, nor motion without inspiration, no inspiration without struggle, no struggle without opposition. Oppositions are everywhere essential, but the divine power conciliates every opposition. From Zephyr Kozari, Part 4, Paragraph 25. Satan, as we call this power, is in fact the tree of life of our world. That free will which for its very existence depends on the clash of the positive and negative forces which in the moral sphere we call good and evil. Satan is therefore the Shekinah of Asia, the world of action, the perpetual activity of the divine essence, the light which was created on the first day and which in the form of consciousness and intelligence can produce an overpowering brilliance equal to the intensest darkness. Satan is also the flaming sword which brought light from heaven. The understanding of this power, whether in the physical, moral, or intellectual planes, is called science, and the misunderstanding of it is frequently called magic. As magician, Samael is preeminently the poison god. There is more than one Samael, says the Zohar, and they are not all equal, but this side of the serpent is accursed above all of them. In man, the will is the magician. When it tends towards evil, it is called black. When towards good, it is called white. But when it tends toward neither and in place harmonizes both, then it manifests not as the magician, but as the Shekinah, the vital force, as harmonizing agent, Hermes, the messenger of God. The mystery of sex. The problem of sex, being a problem of duality, is close connected in the Kabbalah with that of good and evil. It is looked upon as the great cosmological mystery, for marriage is the symbol of perfect harmony, as the Zohar says. The words, male and female, he created them, make known the high dignity of man, the mystic doctrine of his creation. From this we learn that every figure which does not comprise male and female elements is not a true and proper figure. And again, he who dies without leaving children will not enter within the curtain of heaven and will have no share in the other world, and his soul will not be admitted to the place where all souls are gathered, and his image will be cut off from there. Why? Because he has not succeeded in radiating light in this world by the means of the body. The creation of life is man's divine prerogative. Consequently, the sex act is of all acts the holiest. According to the Nobleth Hokmah, the Kabbalists say that the entering into existence of the worlds happened through delight, in that Ein Sof rejoiced in itself and flashed and beamed from itself to itself. And from these intelligent movements and spiritual and divine scintillations, from the parts of its being to its being, which are called delight, its sources have spread themselves towards the outside as seeds for the world. Here is described to us the sublime orgasm of the Ein Sof, the creation through bliss. So also it is with man and woman. Oh, that his left hand were under my head, and his right hand should embrace me. Then male and female are united, and there is mutual desire, and worlds are blessed, and upper and lower rejoice. And then we are told that The most perfect form of praising God is to unify the holy name in the fitting manner. What is this? It is in such a manner that the complementary forces symbolized in it may manifest their creative powers. Thus in the name of Jehovah we find two dualities, one between the Yod and the H, father and mother, and the other between the Va and the H, son and daughter. Without the H, the father is inconceivable, and without the Yod, the mother is inconceivable. What is conceivable is always a relationship, not Yod in itself nor H in itself, but the Yod He in conjunction. Yod, be it remembered, has the numerical value of 10 and thus holds within itself the seed of the tree of life. The value of H being 5, this letter represents the microcosmic power which can bring the Sephirotic scheme into consciousness. Again, in order to realize the perfection of the unity of Yod He, it is necessary to establish a unity between Va and H. Here the Va, which is of the value 6, represents the consciousness of the macrocosm, and H, the microcosmic power, not in God, but in man. In the Zohar, we find a complex account of these permutations, which is worth quoting. It reads as follows. Before Israel went into captivity, and while the Shekinah was still with them, God commanded Israel, "Thou shalt not uncover thy mother's nakedness." Leviticus 18, number 7. And this captivity is the uncovering of the nakedness of the Shekinah, as it is written, "On account of your sins your mother has been put away." Isaiah 1, verse 1. i.e., for the sin of unchastity, Israel has been sent into captivity, and the Shekinah also. And this is the uncovering of the Shekinah. This unchastity is Lilith, the mother of the mixed multitude. It is they who separate the two he's of the sacred name and prevent the vow from entering between them. So it is written, "The nakedness of a woman and her daughter thou shalt not uncover," referring to the upper and lower Shekinah. When the mixed multitude are between the one H and the other, the Holy One, blessed be He, cannot link them together, and consequently the river becomes dry and parched, dry in the upper H and parched in the lower H, in order that the mixed multitude may not be nourished by the vow, which is the tree of life, the Yod extended. Therefore the vow does not link together the two H's when the mixed multitude is between them, and the letter Yod is not able to draw near to the second H. Thus the precept, "Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy daughter-in-law," is transgressed. Further, they separate the Yod from the upper H, and so break the command, "Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's wife." The Yod being the father, the first H, the mother, Vav the son, and the second H, the daughter. Therefore it is ordained with regard to the upper H, "Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's wife." The nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, refers to the lower H. Her son's daughter to her daughter's daughter refers to the H and the H, which are the children of the H. The nakedness of the father's brother refers to the Yod, which is the product of the letter Yod, a brother to Vav. In a word, when the mixed multitude are mingled with Israel, the letters of the name Yahweh cannot be joined and linked together, but as soon as they are removed from the world, then it is said of the letters of God's name that on that day the Lord shall be one and his name one. Zechariah 14, verse 9. As in God above all things become a perfect unity, that is, a perfect balance, so also in man below must a perfect unity be established, for all things are also to be found in man. To the Kabbalist, the mystery of faith consists in the union of God with the female whom he fructifies, after the manner of the union of male and female. To the Christian this may seem a blasphemy, but remembering that in the Kabbalah the union of the sexes is looked upon as the sublimest act in life. To the Jews it is the reverse. Benediction does not abide save when male and female are together. And even Moses, the lawgiver of Israel, was not considered perfect because he was separated from his wife. God being a unity, In the spiritual world, this oneness is manifested in the material world when the male is united to the female in a righteous purpose. For it is through the union of bodies and souls that perfect unity is attained. So long as Jacob was unmarried, God did not manifest to him clearly. After marriage, he arrived at the perfection which is above as distinguished from the perfection which is below, and God manifested to him clearly. We thus see that the mystery of sex is but the mystery of good and evil looked at from another angle. And as in the first problem, and separation of evil from good is the main cause of differentiation between Christian and Hebrew ethics, so is the looking upon the sex act as sinful in place of righteous the main cause of differentiation between Christian and Hebrew morality. As Christian Ginsburg writes, love and fear are designed to aid the soul in achieving her high destiny, when she shall no more look through the dark glass, but see face to face in the presence of the luminous mirror, by permeating all acts of obedience and divine worship. End of chapter. Meet me at the next video as we continue with the secret wisdom of the Kabbalah by JFC Fuller, and we will explore the fall of Tetragrammaton and the redemption of Tetragrammaton. Who is this Tetragrammaton? Alright, please do hit the like button, share this with your friends, and subscribe to the channel.